Okay, so in this part we will study uh, about resistance, right? So in this part we will study about resistance. Last time we studied about factors in the last part. Once again we are revising here. Resistance depend on length of conductor, resistance depend on area of conductor, resistance depend on temperature. Okay, and what was the fourth thing? Resistance depends on material of the conductor. On all these factors it depends. Out of these, if these two factors you will take, what you can write? You can write that L is proportional to R is proportional to L upon A. You can write, you will say. Now after removing this proportionality sign, what we can write? We can write rho. What is this rho? This is constant of proportionality and is called resistivity. What it is called? It is called resistivity. Now we will define resistivity after this. Okay, so to define resistivity, what we will do? We will find out the formula of resistivity. Resistivity formula will be R is equals to rho is equals to R A upon L. Now what we will do, if we will take length is equals to 1 meter, area of cross section of conductor equal to 1 meter square, then after putting all the values you will say that sir, rho will be equals to R. So why we did this? Because we want to define rho in terms of R. Resistivity in terms of resistance we will define. So what is resistivity? Resistivity is defined as the resistance of conductor of unit of unit area of cross section and of unit length. Unit area of cross section and unit length, because length as well as area both are 1. So what is this resistivity? How we can define? Once again let us revise. Resistivity is defined as the resistance of a conductor whose length and area of cross section is unity, or you can say of unit area of cross section and length, right? In this way we can define. What will be the unit of resistivity? Resistivity unit will be ohm meter. Ohm meter will be the unit of resistivity, right? After this, what we can say? Look what we have next. Okay, so now we will be finding out the vector form. Vector form of Ohm's law. Vector form of Ohm's law. This we will be finding. What is vector form of Ohm's law? Suppose like we found already that V will be equals to IR, right? And also we studied that the formula of resistance can be given by R is equals to rho L upon A. So that we can write R is equals to rho L upon A. When we will put this value, we got V is equals to I rho L upon A. These all things we will get. Now V is equals to I, and with I in upon I am writing A. What is left here? Rho and L. In the last chapter, you studied V is equals to ED. If V was equals to ED, here I can say V will be equals to EL, because here this distance D will be equal to the length of conductor. Okay, so we can write. Then the expression will be EL is equals to I upon A rho L. What is this I upon A? This I upon A is current density. This I upon A is current density and it is a vector quantity. Current density is represented by J. So J and then rho L. And what is on this side? EL. By L we can cancel L. From here we will get E is equals to J sigma. Okay. Let us talk about current density first of all. How can we define current density? we can define current density as how can you define current flowing per unit area. Current flowing per unit area. You can say that current flowing per unit area will be called current density. What will be its unit? Its unit will be ampere per meter square. This will be its unit. It will be a vector quantity. If it is a vector quantity, what will be its direction? The direction of current density will be identified with the help of direction of flow of current. Okay, in whatever direction the current will be flowing, the same will be the direction of J vector. Right, now you look here, this E. Okay, this was separate part. We were continuing with our derivation. This E is a vector quantity, J is a vector quantity, and you know rho is resistivity. Remember that we can write rho is equal to 1 upon sigma. What is this sigma? This sigma is conductivity. This sigma is conductivity. If this sigma is conductivity and which is inversely proportional to resistivity, we can write E vector is equals to J vector upon sigma. From here, I can write J vector is equals to sigma E vector. Now what is this? This is your vector form of Ohm's law. J is equals to sigma E. Right. Let us come back to our chapter. What we have here? Okay. Here you can see they used the formula and at last they obtained the vector form of Ohm's law. Then you can see the next topic. Next topic is drift of electrons and the origin of resistivity. Drift of electrons. To understand this, we have to make one conductor. Okay. Suppose this is a conductor. This is a cylindrical conductor. In this conductor, there are electrons. These electrons must be moving in random direction because still we have not applied any potential difference. When these electrons will move here and there in random direction, due to these, because in random direction they are moving, then we can say the average of velocity of all the electrons will be equal to 0. And these electrons, we know they are able to move because due to thermal energy what they have received at room temperature, these electrons are using that thermal energy in moving in random direction. Okay, suppose there are n electrons and out of that first electron has thermal velocity v1, second has u1, and the second one has u2. In this way the nth electron will be having un thermal velocity, and if I will add them together and divide by n, I will divide by the number of electrons, then what will I get? I will get the average of thermal velocities. This average of thermal velocities I can also write like this: 1 upon n summation from where? From 1 to n, and what will come inside? Ui. So this we can say is the average thermal velocity, and as we studied, because of the random direction, this will be equal to 0. This will be equal to 0. Okay. So we studied that the average of thermal velocities will be equal to 0. Still we have not applied any electric field. Okay, with these electrons, children, with these electrons there will be positively charged ions. These positively charged ions will be immobile. That means they will not change their place, while electrons will be moving here and there in random direction. Okay, so still we have not applied any electric field. Now let us suppose that we will apply the electric field. Okay, now we applied electric field. If we applied electric field, then the electrons which are negative charge carriers will start moving in a particular direction. And in which direction they will move? They will move opposite to the direction of electric field. Suppose electric field is in this direction. Electric field will be in this direction when positive charge will be connected towards this end and the negative charge will be connected at this end. Then only from positive towards negative you will have electric field, and opposite to electric field electrons will be moving. Now as I said, along with these electrons there will be positively charged ions with which these electrons will collide. Now what happens when these all electrons would be moving in a particular direction? They will be gaining as velocity. That means they will be accelerated towards the positive terminal. While accelerating themselves, they will collide with these positively charged ions, right? So when they strike these positively charged ions, their velocity becomes 0. But after colliding, they starts again accelerating and starts moving towards the positive terminal. Then in their path again it is possible that another ion will come. So again it will collide with this ion and again the velocity becomes 0. Whatever velocity it gained during this traveling. Okay. Now let me tell you that this path or you can say this distance which the electron will move between two successive collisions to gain its velocity, this path is called free path. This path is called free path. This free path could be different for different electrons. Some could have less free path, some could have more free path. So what we will do average of all. We will do average of all. That means we will find out mean. And the mean of free paths will be called as mean free path. Okay, children. It will be called mean free path. Now one more term you have related to all of these things, and what is that? Relaxation time. Now try to understand what is relaxation time. From here the electron started gaining and here again its velocity becomes 0. Okay. These are ions. These are ions which will be coming along the path of electrons while accelerating towards positive terminal. Okay. Now the time which the electron has taken between two successive collisions, the time whatever it will be taken between two successive collisions, that time is called relaxation time. Why relaxation time? Because during this time duration only, the electron take relax. Otherwise here its velocity was 0 and again here its velocity becomes 0. So between them whatever distance you have here, this distance, in this distance only it relaxed and was able to accelerate itself. Okay, so that's why this time is relaxation time. Now again, for different electrons relaxation time could be different. If path will be more, then relaxation time will be more. If path will be less, relaxation time will be lesser. Okay, or it depends on the velocity of that electron. So because there will be different relaxation times, then what we can say, we can do mean of all those relaxation times, and that mean of all the relaxation time will be called as mean relaxation time. Now mean relaxation time will be represented by tau. This is tau, T-O-U, tau. Okay children, mean relaxation time will be represented by tau. After this, there is one more term which you have to understand to understand the origin of resistivity and the motion of charged particles inside a conductor, and that term is drift velocity. That term is drift velocity. Now, what is drift velocity? What is drift velocity? So children, remember what is drift velocity? Look, to explain drift velocity, again I have to make one conductor. Suppose this is your conductor, and to this conductor we connected one battery, positive terminal, negative terminal. So we can say this is the direction of electric field, and this is your electron, this is your electron. These electrons are moving towards this side, and what do you have? What do you have here? Positively charged ions you have. Okay, these are immobile, they cannot move. Now with the help of these all things, what can I say? I can say that I can say that when electrons collide with these positively charged particles, what will you see? You will see that their velocity becomes zero, and after collision they again start accelerating and will gain some velocity, and again after collision their velocity becomes zero. So what is actually happening? The velocity again and again is increasing and again becomes zero, then again it increases, then again it becomes zero. This happens with all the electrons, and they will achieve different maximum velocities, and ultimately becomes zero. So what we can say? We can say that these all electrons will be moving with an average constant velocity. What we will do? We will find out average velocity of all these electrons, and this average velocity will give us a constant value. This constant value of average velocity is only called drift velocity. Now why drift velocity? Because these electrons are forcefully pushed to move in this particular direction. So when somebody somebody moves due to a force which is applied by someone, at that time we can say that the thing is drifting. Like here electrons are drifted towards the positive terminal. So the velocity, the average constant velocity with which electrons will be moving inside conductor, that constant average velocity will be called drift velocity and will be represented by Vd. In the next part we will find out the formula of drift velocity. Okay, so this was our second part. In the next part we will find out the formula of drift velocity.